kind of special he was. And over the next few years, I was able to hear him some more and saw how special he was. And over the last few days, I've had an opportunity to really get to know him. And I'm sorry because we hit the schools the last 2 days. And he got to share his message with 1,100 kids. And then last night we had a youth program, and we had about 270 kids there. And about 40 to 50 of them came forward and prayed. So I'm really blessed. So, after this event, we have seen Justin be able to touch almost 1,600 people in Indiana. So I thank you for that. If you don't know Justin, Justin is from Texas. He's known as one of the top 3 most powerful Christian speakers in his area. He's written over 9 books. He's had an opportunity to speak to over 4,500 different programs in the country, over 2 million people. He's spoken in 8 different countries. He's fluent in Spanish and English. He spent 6 years as a crime protection specialist, and that experience has helped him be able to develop over 28 different elementary school programs. What we found out last night is he loves to skydive, and he has a size 13 shoe. So if you will, help me welcome Justin Lookado.
Hey, yeah! Nice! Man, I'm excited to be with you guys, especially just with a bunch of men in one place. That's cool because most of my wife and I, we do foster care and adoption, and most of our time is spent with little girls in our house. Anybody have nothing but little girls in your house? Yeah. Yes. Living with estrogen Americans is a whole different world. So you have to learn a different language, different cultures. So I'm excited to be here with you guys. And I may step up here because I'm short and I like to feel tall. No, don't get rid of it because I'm going to probably use you later. Yes, I need room. I'm about to break into interpretive dance in a minute. And you will love it. Almost got you. But I'm excited, and especially with all the stuff that's happening, with going into schools and all that good stuff, and just to kind of to get us started. As he said, I was a juvenile probation officer for 6 years. And when I come in and talk to men, I always like to talk to men about their role in life, in general. Because as a juvenile probation officer, people always ask me, well, what's wrong with boys nowadays? Boys are crazy. And have you ever noticed yet that there are some things in this world that just ain't right? Have y'all noticed that? There are some things that just ain't right. There are some people that just ain't right. You may be sitting by one. Man, I travel around, I speak in schools. And I was driving through Louisiana, and as I came around the corner in Louisiana, this is the first time I just really got a glimpse of things just ain't right. I drove around the corner, and as I drove around the corner, there was a little road to pull out where you just kind of pull to the side, and there was like a 4x4, about a 4x4 little hut with a handwritten menu attached to the side, and then a barbecue pit welded to it. And the handwritten menu said everything, every kind of meat they had. They had chicken, beef, pork, possum. And it was all on a stick. That's not even what wasn't right. What wasn't right is sitting right next to this little 4x4 hut. It was one of those big old school satellite dishes. You know what I'm talking about? Those big huge ones nobody uses anymore. They had one of those flipped upside down, mounted on 4 posts, and they called it their gazebo. I'm looking at this thing going, man, this ain't right. I call a friend of mine who lives in Tennessee, and I'm telling him what I'm looking at. And there's dead silence on the other end. And then he goes, if you flip that thing the other way and stick it in the ground, that'll make a great baby pool. I'm like, you ain't right. Man, some things in this world just ain't right. Like why is it you see people who they will go to one of these little fast food restaurants and they'll buy like this double McLard with cheese, a tub of fries, a Mega Malt, and a Diet Coke. Like somewhere that Diet Coke has some kind of Pac-Man cell that eats all the fat out of everything else. And then what really ain't right is these are the people who will lay all this food out on the table and they will bow their heads and say, Lord, bless this food for the nourishment of our body. You know what? It was easier for God to part the Red Sea than bless that crap for the nourishment of your body. I see God look at them going, man, there's some things I can't even do. Man, some things in this world just ain't right. Like why is it when you go to the hospital, you have to walk by that wall of cancer? You know what I'm talking about? That wall where all the doctors and nurses take their smoke break? You walk by and they're sitting there, yeah, go in there, sign the clipboard. I'll be in there in a minute. And these are the women talking, go on in there. Man, some things just ain't right. Your grandma on the beach in a thong bikini. Yes, that ain't right. Some of y'all going, don't visualize, just go with it, all right? Just move past it. And as I was working with the juveniles for so long, I realized that there are some things in this world that just ain't right. And people would always ask me, well, what's wrong with boys nowadays? Boys are going crazy. Boys are just insane nowadays. And the number one problem with boys nowadays, men. Number one problem with boys. I'm not coming from a philosophical, biblical perspective. I'm coming from straight from a juvenile probation perspective. The number one problem with men, or boys nowadays, is men. We have totally checked out of little boys' lives. Either because of divorce, separation, or because the men in their lives are working all the time trying to buy all those toys that they never have time to use. We as men have totally checked out of little boys' lives. And see, every little boy wants to know that he has what it takes to be a man. Every little boy wants to know that. And a woman, we have well-meaning moms and grandmas and aunts raising little boys, and a woman can never convince a little boy that he has what it takes to be a man. It takes a man to convince a little boy that he has what it takes to be a man. Because in my house, I grew up in the country, and we roped everything. I don't care if it was walking or standing still, we're going to rope it. And in my house, we had one rule. You didn't rope anything by the head. First of all, that's easy. I can train a monkey to rope something by the head. And also, it's a little dangerous if they... So in our house, what do you think we had to do? Rope it by the feet. We had to get the legs every time. And you know what? It was never my level of success as a man when I could sneak up behind my mother and rope her feet and put her on the ground. I tested that theory. She took that rope and beat some of the manhood out of me. It was my level of manhood success when I could consistently walk behind my dad and rope his feet and put him on the ground. See, it takes a man to convince a little boy that he has what it takes to be a man. And the reason the little boys are going crazy is because we have little boys trying to figure out if they have what it takes. That's why you see so much violence now. That's why you see so many little boys trying to have sex with every little girl they can find. It's not because they're horny little dudes. Because they're trying to figure out if they have what it takes to be a man. And it takes a man to convince them. My little cousin, he's not little anymore, he's 19 years old. But even today, from the time he was born, because his dad, my first cousin, he died when my second little cousin, when he was born. So his aunt and his grandmother raised him his entire life. Had no male influences in his life. The only time he had a male influence is when I would come and visit. And I'm from the country, so I always keep my wallet in my front pocket. Because my daddy always told me, boy, you go to that big city, you better put your wallet in the front pocket. Because that way they can't steal it. And if they do, at least you'll get a thrill out of the deal. My father's wise, but he ain't right. So I would always keep my wallet in my front pocket. And as soon as I walk in the door, from the time he was little and he could walk, as soon as I walk in, he's going to reach into my pocket and try to steal my wallet. And as soon as he does, I'm going to go. And I will beat the crap out of him the entire time. And you know, the women in the house, they're like, leave him alone, stop. I'm like, let him win. I'm like, I don't let you win nothing. I got 3 kids right now. They always want to race me. You ain't beating this. You got to earn this. Let you win. You're 3. You ain't winning. So I will beat him the entire time. When we leave, he'll be bloody lip. He'll be bruised and sitting there just smiling. Because it's the only time that he gets to test that he has what it takes to be a man. It's time for men. And understand what is coming out of my mouth. I don't keep saying dads. I don't think I've said dads yet. I keep saying men. Because see, because of death, divorce, separation, men out working all the time, men, it's our job to step into that gap as a man. Because if we are all a part of the family of God, every little kid that we see, those are our nieces, those are our nephews, those are our cousins, those are our grandkids. But see, it's men, it's our time to step up. And I don't know what that means for you. I don't know what you have to offer. I know what you have to offer. One of your skills is just sitting right here, because you showed it to us. Man, if you know how to play guitar, there are plenty of boys who wish they could play guitar. Man, if you're a hunter, man, that's a huge thing. Now me, I'm not taking anybody hunting. People are always like, you anti-hunting? No, there's 2 other things I'm anti. I'm anti-early morning and I'm anti-cold weather. If I could hunt sitting on the beach, that's great. But man, you get little boys, invite them to be a part of your life. And then people always like, well, what's wrong with little girls nowadays? Little girls are crazier than little boys. When I left juvenile probation, the fastest growing demographic of people getting locked up was middle school suburbanite white females. Fastest growing demographic getting locked up. You know what's wrong with little girls nowadays? Men. We have totally checked out of their lives for the same reasons. Whether it's because we're working all the time, or whether it's because of divorce, because of separation, men have totally checked out little girls' lives. And see, here's the deal. Every little girl wants to know that she's beautiful, that she's valuable, that somebody finds her just wonderful. I don't care if you're a little girl, I don't care if you're an old lady. Everybody, every woman wants to know that she's beautiful. And it takes a man to convince a little girl that she's beautiful. A woman cannot convince a little girl that she's beautiful. It takes a man to convince her. The reason women can't do it, because no woman ever wakes up in the morning and thinks she's beautiful. Anybody here live with a woman? Mm-hmm. When your woman wakes up in the morning, looks in the mirror, does she look at herself and go, woo! Woo! Woo, girl! Stairmaster's working! Woo! Is that the woman in your house does? Or does she look in the mirror, oh my gosh, look at these wrinkles! Oh my gosh, my butt is so big! Oh my gosh, look at the cottage cheese! Men, you know this, women will search for ugly. Like it's a hidden treasure. Men, ugly could hit us in the face and we wouldn't have a clue. And the reason a woman cannot convince a little girl that she's beautiful is because the only thing little girls hear from women in their lives is when they look in the mirror, they're supposed to find everything they hate in the mirror. A little girl will never learn. Now, a woman teaches a girl how to be beautiful. A woman will never convince her that she's beautiful. It takes a man to convince a girl that she's beautiful. But it's our job to step up. It's my job. In the neighborhood I live in, it's my job to know what every little girl is doing. Which little girl is in cross country, which little girl is in the band. It's my job to know that. And when they walk through my yard, it's my job to ask them about it. It's my job to go, man, I noticed your name in the paper. Or, if it's a little jerk-faced kid, hey, I noticed your name wasn't in the paper. Good job. Man, it's our job to step up into those roles. Why? Because there are so many men who are not. So it's our job, it's my job. Because I guarantee you, in most of the houses in the neighborhood I live in, the men have checked out. Now there are some because of divorce and separation, but most of them are out working all the time, and they're never at home. That's why they're in my yard. So guys, it's men, it's up to us to step up. And you know what? And I'm not going to say this because I'm the perfect person. I'm going to say this more as a sad state of of mandom in general. My 3-year-old little girl, in 3 years, she has received more cards, more flowers, more gifts, more I love yous, more phone calls than most women will their entire life. And I'm not saying that because I'm a great person. But see, I know my role in my little girl's life. I am going to be, as her father, I'm going to be the lowest bar she will ever look for in a man. And I guarantee you already, my bar is set so high that if I'm the lowest bar, there will not be very many people who can even step up and talk to her. Man, my job is to convince my little girl. When I wake up every morning, my job is to convince my little girl that she's the most wonderful, beautiful, perfect little woman in the entire planet. That's my job. Every day when I wake up, it's my job to convince my wife that she is the most wonderful, incredible, beautiful princess in the entire world. And men, if you have a little girl and she has not gone off to school or something yet, let me tell you a little secret. When that little girl goes off to school, her first week of school, she better have notes hidden in her luggage from you that you wrote ahead of time. She better have texts coming from you. If you don't know how to text, have her teach you before she leaves. She better have flowers coming to her room. Because men, I guarantee you this, the first week that she leaves her house, if you do not remind her how beautiful and valuable she is, an upperclassman will, and he will destroy her beauty. Men, if you do not convince your wife that she is beautiful, another man will. Guys, it's our job to step up into those roles. Because here's the beautiful part about that. If men are the problem, men are also the solution. So when we step up, man, when we do foster care, with the little kids that are in my life, my job is not to fix them. My job is to be the best male person in their entire lives. When I see little kids in my neighborhood, my job is to be the best male figure and to show them. And I don't fix everything. I don't try to do everything. And people always asking me, especially as men, as leaders of the family, well, how do I get my kid to pray more? Well, I gotta get my kid to pray more. My question to those people is this: when's the last time your child ever interrupted you praying? You don't know how you get your kid to pray more? And I don't care if it's your child, your grandchild, I don't care if it's your niece or your nephew, I don't care. You don't know how to get your child to pray more? When's the last time a kid walked through and interrupted you while you were praying? Now, I'm not saying you sitting in a lazy boy with the TV on like this. Hey, Papa! Oh, yeah, amen. I just don't know. When is the last time your child walked by and you were in this position? Because you know what? When you're sitting in your chair like this, they think you're asleep because you probably are. They walk in and you're on your knees, there's no question about what you're doing. They don't have to look at you, but they'll look at you one time and go, hey, what are you doing? Oh, man, I was just on my knees praying. It's the last time you'll have to have that conversation. Next time when they walk in, they'll know exactly what you're doing. When's the last time a kid walked in when you had your Bible out and you were studying the Bible? Not just the Bible was out while you were eating your cereal, but you had a pen, you were taking notes. You don't know how to have an influence on your kids? You have them interrupt you. And yeah, I go to my prayer closet. Your prayer closet is for you and God. You get on your knees in the living room, that's training for whatever kid you have in your house. Man, people always go, well, how do I get my kid to get excited about church? Then you better get excited about going to church. And I understand church is not built for men. Sit down and shut up is not necessarily what we do best. And people are like, well, church is boring. Then you got two choices to make. The church you go to is boring, get involved and change it, or go to a different church. There's your options. Because it's your church. Well, I don't get paid to do that. Well, then shut up. You can't try to fix it. Oh, I ain't going to do it. You can't do nothing and gripe about it. Kind of like voting. You didn't vote? Shut up.